You know what shocked me is, again, and I think I speak for a lot of us when I think, type up, put your name in, and you're just going to see one of the great, if not the most influential actors, blah, 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 blah. You, in the 80s, hit a cold spot, and you talk about it in the book, and you think, well, my movie career is over. And you are kind of out of it for a little bit. You're trying to do some theater and stuff, but that's shocking to me now because that wasn't something, you felt it, you lived it.
Well, I thought, I don't know what's going on. I thought, I don't want to be doing this anymore. There's something going on. Things are not working. Scarface was such a disaster. And when I thought it was, it was a good film. I mean, it was going to work, but it didn't. And it actually made money. It was the critics sort of took a dislike to it. But at the same time, I just didn't know. I didn't want to do it anymore. I thought, well, let's refresh and let's go back and do some of the things that I started with.
That fed you, things like theater,
of course,
getting there, being connected to people, get away from this stuff. Yeah,
talking through things, pieces of work, whether it's Oedipus or whatever, because, when you do those kind of plays, they're always in translation, of course. So translation means everything. Who's the translator? And so spending time with that stuff, whether you're doing Chekhov or Strindberg, or some of the great plays, American plays, So I liked getting involved, and that's what happens at the Actors Studio. You're able, that's what we do there. And so I did a movie called Looking for Richard.
I was going to bring this is what I was going to bring up. And I was going to bring this up for a reason. You did this project called Looking for Richard. And it's about Richard III, and it's so many things. It's a fascinating movie because you see different performances for Richard III, interpretations of it throughout the film. But you do something that I have some familiarity with, which is a big part of my career has been leaving the studio, getting a camera, finding real people and trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
And I love that part. It terrifies me, but I love it. And it's been, I don't know, maybe 70% of the work that I've done that people really like is that kind of work where I'm out there doing this stuff and things are happening in real time. A big part of Looking for Richard, there's a thread that runs through it where it's you on the street talking to people about what does Shakespeare mean to you, and you are so quick and funny and vulnerable. And I was watching that part going like, damn it, he's good at that. I mean, that's the one thing that I can relate to of all of your work is going out there with a camera. And I was blown away. You're talking to people, you're getting them to talk about Shakespeare, you're on the streets of New York, you talk to some young kid and you say, what do you think of Hamlet? He goes, Hamlet sucks. You go, Hamlet sucks! But it's wonderful. It's fantastic. It's you out there, and what I love is you keep stripping it all away and saying, let's lose all this, Oscar iconic films. Well, let's lose all that. I'm going to put on a baseball cap backwards and I'm going to walk through the streets and talk to people about Shakespeare and we're going to get our hands dirty.
I was sort of driven to that by having what you had just said, that you want to have a piece of yourself in this. You want to, you're tired of just doing stuff that's not giving you what you need as in your creative that creative gene we have, and it's just not being supplied with stuff because it happens for everybody. So other actors too, you that's why some actors, I talk about that in the book, will repeat roles because they scored in them and they did well in them and they continue to do well in them, but they're capable of doing much more.
And it's hard to grow if you don't keep challenging yourself.
Right. You got to challenge yourself. That's why I like chaos.
Yeah. Well, you're in the right place.
I certainly am. And that's why when I looked at you and I said that too.
The other day, I wanted my son, who's 18, I wanted him to see real acting, real writing. So I said, come with me. My wife was out of town. It sounds like I'm going to show him pornography, but that was...
I know.
No, but no. Hey, my wife, she's out of town! This is a movie. This is called Debbie Does Dallas. No, I showed him the movie Glengarry, Glen Ross.
Oh, yeah.
And he's riveted. I'm riveted. It's such an incredible cast, the whole thing. And the next morning I go and he's blown away. And I'm like, okay, you get it? That's, and he loved it. And the next morning I go to get breakfast and I run smack into David Mamet. And
wow.
Yeah. And I said, hey, last night. And he was like, please leave me alone. No, he's always been very wonderful when I run into him. But I could just tell all of you were so great in that film, but your character so intimidates me. He's charming, but he's intimidating at the same time, you know? And you've got this, I don't know. That's one of my favorite performances too. Absolutely incredible performance.
I thought Jack Lemmon, as time goes on, he really steps out in that part. Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I tried doing that part in New York on Broadway, doing Jack's part. Yeah. Because they did a production.
You were Richie Roma.
I was Richie Roma.
Yeah, but in the film, but then you switched and you did his part on Broadway.
On Broadway. And I did his part, and I thought I could do his part somewhat. It's a good part. Let me try that. It's so totally different than Richie Roma. So I started it, but I didn't realize this is Mamet, and you have to have time to, acquire the taste and be able to live through this part. And we had 3 weeks rehearsal, and I didn't have any lines that I was able to say, So, but at the same time, I realized how great Jack Lemmon was in this role. And I thought, wow, I should have watched it before I did it, but I didn't know where I was on Broadway. And that's a tough thing to go through. But I did remember that I said, look, I don't know what to do here, because there's times I don't know what the lines are. This is Mamet now. It's like rewriting Shakespeare.
Yeah.
But I started saying things that came to me. That's my new thing, which, we go through various phases where we go a little nuts, and then we start doing nutty things. And sometimes things come out of that,
I'm familiar.
You get a little cherry,
So, but you start ad-libbing Mamet. Yeah.
So now, I thought, I don't know why I can't get this monologue at all. I can't get it. And I don't know it's written in a certain way. So I said, I would start saying my own words here. Say the monologue, and the actors with me was so great. I mean, they were right with it. And I'd even say things on the stage. Then I started dancing on the stage.
You started doing soft shoe.
Soft shoe in the middle of the play. And then because I'm a real believer in, we have things with acting that all of a sudden the unconscious comes out. You free yourself, so your unconscious starts to, express itself. Yeah. And I was walking down the street after I realized that I did what I did. I said, why did I do that? And then I said, wait a minute. My dad who I didn't know much, and you know that.
Right, he left early.
But he was a salesman. And he was a great ballroom dancer.
So you think you maybe channeled him a little bit?
I channeled him. Of course I did.
Don't yell at me.
How come you don't know that? You see what I mean? You got to get out there, Conan.
Oh, my God.
Express yourself. But it was interesting. There's another thing. I'm doing a play, a Shakespeare play at the Public Theater, and I'm tired, and, all of a sudden you're doing 8 performances a week. Who invented that? That's the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody.
Yeah.
It ruins all actors. And I'm doing 8 performances, and I'm not doing really well. So I'm doing it, but I'm getting through it. And with me, everything is time. I believe that's why I love the theater so much, because it's time. I mean, I did American Buffalo over 4 years. I did movies in between. But by the 4th year, I didn't have to do anything when I went on stage. It was in your bones.
It was in your bones.
Entered the bones. But I'm doing Shakespeare, and I'm doing this. I have this huge monologue talking to a lot of people, and I'm tired, but it's maybe a matinee on Saturday or Sunday, I don't know, and I'm talking, and I start thinking, wait a minute, I'm repeating myself. Every line I'm saying, I've said right before, so I'm saying it twice. And I said, oh my God. And I'm saying the lines, to me, I'm saying them twice. And I'm thinking the audience is being friendly. They're sort of scared because I think this actor is losing it. I think we're going to have to carry him somewhere and take him to a hospital afterward. He's crazy. Yeah. And I got really scared. And then it took me a while to recover. I don't know if I ever did, but at the end of the show, I wasn't doing that, but it felt like it.
Wow.
This is what exhaustion on the stage means. It's, it really is, especially with the big roles, so I just refused to do that. And then I just said, don't pay me. Don't pay me, and I'll do 6 a week.
Right.
Now I do like 3.
Right.
Don't tell anyone.